Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Rampers were trying to get me cancelled on Sunday with a new approach of trying to label me as racist. They had two big problems with that. First, I've never posted anything racist, for the simple reason that I'm not racist. And second, ramping is not exclusively the preserve of any one particular racial group. One of the complainants, in fact, was a white Merseysider, who I'd had to block previously for sending threatening direct messages regarding comments I'd made on Block Energy. In reality, the whole thing was a cynical attempt by scammers to gain financial advantage by attempting to eliminate criticism of their activities. Ironically, one of the more abusive ended up with their social media accounts suspended. The weekend's events have made me think a little more about ramping. Essentially, there are two types of ramps. Those in which the organisers will simply buy a line of stock, tout it, and flip it for a modest percentage, and those where the company and or insiders are involved. The correct word for these actually is promotions. For those interested in the detail, my new book explains exactly how all this works, plus the rampers and promoters' full modus operandi. Promotions are more interesting, since they can continue for some time, and some can see very large, albeit temporary, percentage gains. A significant part of the small cap market is now like this, and it can't be ignored. Many people are now only looking for ramps and promotions, and have zero interest in companies' investment merits. Indeed, there are a number of publications in the US covering just this area of their markets. If anyone is interested in something similar covering this side of the Atlantic, let me know. On to the company news. President Energy announced a drilling and workover update. This is one I was warning about when it was being ramped to around 2.5p by a couple of paid promoters on their podcast when the oil price was down. The oil price has now recovered, but President's share price has collapsed. Remember the names of those involved and be careful in future. Again, this is something I explained fully in the new book. On the brighter side, Union Jack Oil announced that Joseph O'Farrell, Executive Director, had purchased 11,100,000 shares at a price of 0.225p, taking his stake to 1.86%. UJO's shares are now performing strongly in the run-up to the West Newton B drill. Indeed, these shares have more than trebled in the last few months, and I explain in my new book exactly how to spot these types of companies in advance, while at the same time excluding any potential loss makers. Lecol announced execution of agreements with Schlumberger, which cover the comprehensive infrastructure upgrades and field management services in relation to the planned upstream drilling program in Nigeria. This one will all come down to the terms of the financing. Actual financings announced were from Canadian Overseas Petroleum, which issued 68.5 million shares at 0.3p in a debt-to-equity conversion, and Upland Resources, which announced a capital raise for its Asian and North African initiatives in the amount of £470,000 at 0.7p. Both, though, will require much more. Echo Atlantic Oil and Gas announced audited results for the year ended 31 March 2020 and an update. It plans, subject to JV partner approval, to drill at least 2 exploration wells into light oil targets in 2021. This, of course, currently is aspirational, but Hannam and partners have assigned them a 145p per share risked NAV, which is quite aspirational too. It has its followers though, so let's see. Predator Oil and Gas announced the board appointment of Louis Castro, former Chief Finance Officer at Elland Oil and Gas. The main news that's awaited here is regarding the Morocco drill rig mobilisation. ADM Energy announced the appointment of 2 oil and gas veterans, Daryl McKenna and Dr. Satinder Purawal, as non-board advisory members to the company's technical team. They say big news is awaited. Amonex announced that the parties have agreed to extend the long stop date for satisfaction of the conditions of the farm-out from 14 July to 31 July. Amonex and Ara Petroleum Tanzania remain hopeful that government approval for the farm-out will be received this month. The announcement is of relevance to working interest partner Solar Oil too. My new book, mentioned above, explains exactly how it all works and exactly how you can make money out of these markets, using a method where risk doesn't actually matter in the end from a trading perspective. The book is exceptionally frank, and I think virtually all will find it extremely useful. You'll certainly learn a lot. Details of how you can obtain a copy are at allnewslondon.com/Allman-Jim.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.